Hello and welcome to yet another episode of NewsX Deepdive with me, Megha Sharma. Today we turn our attention to a rare order under which 9 Tamil Nadu policemen have been sentenced to death in a 6-year-old case. So what led to this rarest of rare judgment more than half a decade on? Let's dive deep into it. At around 7:30 p.m. on 19th of June 2020, trader P. Jayaraj was picked up by the police from Kamarajakar Chowk for allegedly keeping his mobile shop open beyond the permitted hours. Upon learning of Jayaraj's arrest by Sathankulam police, his son J. Benix rushed to the police station and objected to his father being beaten. What followed was the father-son duo being wrongfully confined and assaulted through the night in what the Central Bureau of Investigation later labelled as a way to teach them a lesson on how to behave with the police. According to the CBI charge sheet, the two were subjected to sustained torture inside the Sathankulam police station, suffering severe injuries including blunt force trauma and heavy bleeding. The CBI also noted that Jayaraj had pleaded with the officers to stop the assault, citing his medical conditions including blood pressure and diabetes. The brutality is said to have gone on for several hours, with the victims stripped of clothing to increase the intensity of the beating. Describing the modus operandi, the charge sheet states that both Jayaraj and Benix were in turn made to bow down on a wooden table in their underwears. Their hands and legs were held by accused police officials so that they were not able to defend themselves. While holding them in that position, they were subjected to severe beatings with a lathi on their buttocks, back and other parts of the body. Their lungis had to be reportedly changed many times as they were soaked in blood. The torture did not stop there. The victims were then allegedly forced to clean their own blood from their wounds and the floor. The next morning, a sanitation worker was made to clean the blood from the station floor to destroy evidence. According to the probe, after the officers attempted to destroy evidence pertaining to the assault, a false case was registered to cover up the crime. A fit for remand certificate was also obtained despite their severe injuries, while their blood-stained clothes were discarded in a hospital bin. In later reporting on the case, details emerged of not just the devastating brutality, but the ordinariness with which the entire system handled it. Reports described how Jayaraj's shop was not in fact open after hours. Rather, he was taken into custody after allegedly making critical remarks about a police patrol team that had insisted shops close early during the lockdown. Another report captured the logic of revenge that appeared to animate the violence. The son's attempt to intervene when his father was being beaten, officers said, had provoked the police team. Family members who waited outside the station through the night saw the men in bad shape. The next morning, Jayaraj's veshti and Benix's pants were soaked heavily in blood. Relatives were told to bring dark-coloured lungis. Meanwhile, the two were bleeding so heavily that they struggled to keep their clothes in place. In another haunting incident that followed right after, Jayaraj's brother-in-law stated that the two men were not presented properly before the magistrate. Neither were they examined for injuries before the remand. Instead, the magistrate appeared upstairs and simply remanded them with a gesture. S. Joseph, Jayaraj's brother-in-law, stated that when the two were brought to the magistrate's court, which was functioning out of his residence at the time, they were visibly injured and bleeding through their clothes. They were made to stand near the entrance surrounded by policemen, and after which the magistrate appeared on the first floor, waving his hand at the policemen. Joseph then heard an officer shout, "Kovilpatti remand." Jayaraj and Benix were then lodged in the Kovilpatti sub-jail on 22nd and 23rd and later taken to the government hospital after their condition worsened. Benix died on 22nd June after severe bleeding and hemorrhage. Jayaraj died the next day. The deaths triggered protests across Tamil Nadu and beyond. Traders shut shops, human rights advocates condemned the police brutality, and questions quickly spread about the wider police system and the scope of cruelty. The Madurai bench of the Madras High Court took suo motu cognizance of the case on 24th of June 2020. The court ordered a judicial inquiry and, expressing distrust of the local police, directed the CID to step in until the CBI formally took over. Now, a bench of the Madras High Court in Madurai has sentenced 9 personnel to death in 2020 custodial killings case, terming it the rarest of rare crime marked by extreme brutality and abuse of power. The 10th accused, Special Sub-Inspector Paul Durai, died of COVID-19 during the trial. Delivering the verdict after a 6-year trial, Judge G. Muthukumaran held all 9 accused guilty of murder and related offences. The court accepted CBI's contention that the custodial torture was premeditated and carried out through the night, warranting the maximum punishment. The magistrate also noted that the police officials tried to impede the trial by being reluctant to hand over their lathis and made several excuses. During the probe, many of the police officials kept recording videos on their phones and trying to intimidate the judicial team. Judge G. Muthukumaran said that the case was a rare one where the police officers who were obligated to maintain law and order had themselves acted against law and brutally assaulted the father and son who did not have any criminal case against them. Besides, the court ordered a total compensation of 1.40 crore rupees payable by the officers to the family of the deceased. Rejecting the defense claim that the injuries were self-inflicted, the court relied on post-mortem findings that pointed to repeated assaults. It concluded that the deaths were the result of murder and held all 9 policemen guilty. The agency concluded that the accused, acting with common intention, inflicted severe injuries knowing the likely fatal consequences. While pronouncing the death sentence, the district court remarked that the heart shudders reading about the case. Now, following the CBI's primary charge sheet of 2,027 pages and 400-page supplementary charge sheet, 6 years on, Jairaj and his son have finally been given a modicum of justice. I have with me Dr. G.V. Rao. He is a senior advocate of the Supreme Court. Dr. Rao, a question for you. Do you think justice that has been served after 6 years, this incident, gruesome incident, took place in 2020. The Supreme Court, the Madurai bench has given death row to these culprits, these 9 police officers. One of them has died while in custody due to COVID. Is this justice served to the family members of the deceased?
Well, this would qualify to be the rarest of rare cases. We are a democracy where rule of law prevails, and the custodians for the citizens cannot be seen to be committing such gruesome crimes and torturing somebody for a minor offense. I mean, it is not even listed as an offense. It's generally during COVID time they try to ensure maintain order, and 15 minutes delay in closing a shop does not warrant this kind of treatment. Not only that, it is found that all the policemen who have been sentenced to death indulged in the form of torture. They were bleeding. They did sexual assault and also hurt them in the most gruesome, reprehensible way. Now, if this happens by those who are supposed to be the custodian of law in a police station, where will anybody have faith in law? And both of them have died, the father and son, for being tortured like this. They tried to hush it up. They went to the hospitals and got a certificate. Every move of theirs shows shocking behavior on the part of those who are supposed to be the custodians of law and who are supposed to protect the citizens against any offences and to take necessary protective action and maintain law and order in the society. Therefore, I think this is a serious matter that the courts have taken it into, so that a message goes to all the police stations and the law enforcement agencies in the country not to treat ordinary citizens in this fashion, especially when they are minor. In any event, torture is prevented. We have a State Human Rights Commission. What for we have a State Human Rights Commission and a National Human Rights Commission, which are exclusively there to ensure that this type of things, activities don't happen. So therefore, I
Okay.
feel justice has been served.
Dr. G.V. Rao, thank you very much for giving us that insight from your end. On that note, I slip into a short break. Thanks for watching.